Welcome back to Big Dan's Airgun Review channel. Today we'll be looking at the newest recoilless air rifle from Artemis, the M16D, which I'm sure will be another welcome addition to the M16 family. So, enough of this, let's move on and see what the M16D is all about. We'll start with looks and features. Starting from the rear end, we have a ventilated rubber butt pad for more comfortable shooting over longer sessions. We've also got a lovely sculpted raised cheek piece which helps the shooter get the correct eye to scope alignment every time. Slightly further up the rifle we have the manual safety which is fitted within the trigger itself, and we've also got the two-stage adjustable Artemis trigger unit which is particularly sweet to use. However, if you look closely you'll see there's a slight difference with this model trigger. I'm not sure if you can see that. But there is, in this model M16D, the trigger guard has actually got a hole drilled out for it, so you no longer have to remove the stock to simply adjust the trigger. This is a fantastic bit of news for us all, and it's good to see that Artemis are actually listening to the customers and modifying their rifles to suit them. Can't ask for any more than that. Slightly high up from the trigger we've got the side lever action, which may not suit everybody's tastes. If you're a bit of a traditionalist you might prefer a bolt perhaps, but the side lever does have its advantages. The side levers, in my personal experience, seem to be a lot smoother than some bolts out there on the market, and as well as this they're a lot easier to use when prone, as you don't need to move your arm so much to cock the rifle. Slightly further along we've also got this is the 2.2 model, so we've got the 11-shot self-indexing magazine neatly nestled away in the action there. As we move further along to the barrel, you can see the M16D's barrel is covered in a rather lovely finished titanium shroud, which helps to keep the barrel protected but also keeps the rifle nice and light. As you can see by the vents here, the M16D, like the other M16 models, the M16 and M16A, also features an internal air stripper as standard, which helps add more consistency to the pellet's flight path. Now we're moving up to the important bits with the M16D. The M16D, unlike the M16A, can actually be filled by removing the bottle and plugging it directly into your air bottle that you have at home, your diver's bottle. The M16A was only fillable by plugging in the quick fill adapter, I believe, underneath, whereas this, it can be done a lot faster, or if you just simply prefer it this way, you can simply twist the bottle itself and plug it directly into your air bottle at home. However, there is also, you can still fill this bottle up with the quick fill adapter, which is still present on the other side of this bottle just here, which I think is a particularly neat idea. So basically, no matter what filling setup you have, you can fill up your M16D. Well, you may have been thinking that this was the end of the feature segment, but oh no, there's one last thing that's definitely worth mentioning. But it is a good idea and I wish more rifles would come with it. There is a second gauge on the M16D, and this is the regulator pressure gauge. The first gauge that you saw on the side of the bottle is the actual air pressure inside the bottle, whereas this one is for the regulator. So when this gauge reaches zero, you know there's not enough air in the rifle itself for the regulator to be continued doing its job. So you know exactly what's happening with the reg in the rifle. So you're no longer just guessing if the regulator is still functioning or not. This is a fantastic idea, and again I wish that more PCPs would come like this. But anyways, that's it for features. Next on we'll move on to handling, and we'll also test that silencer and see if it's any good. So how does the M16D feel when it's actually in the hand? What are the thoughts then? Well, to be honest with you, regarding weight, which can be a bit of a concern for many, I think you'll be very impressed with this rifle. For a rifle that has a rather huge buddy bottle on the end that in 2.2, again, which is what this particular model is, can attain 250 full power shots, it's actually really not very heavy, and that's also, you need to take into consideration the fact that I've got the Milbro Clearview 4-16x50 scope on here, which is a fairly heavy scope, you can see it's pretty chunky. But yeah, it handles really nice, it's pointable, weight rests perfectly in your hands right here, the main chunk of the weight, and the side lever is silky smooth. I don't know if you can see that. And what helps here is because the side lever, the section you grab, as silly as it sounds, but it does help in a great way. It actually spins. I don't know if you can see my fingers, it's the finger and thumb spinning this around. And this is great because the last side lever I shot, it was a good rifle, but it was the Hatsan 8044-10, and that was a side lever, but it was just a slab of metal poking out the action here. So you just had to grab the slab like that and pull it back, and it was a little bit, it did the job, but it was a little bit uncomfortable. Whereas this, you simply keep your fingers in one position, and that's it. It couldn't be any simpler. But yeah, other than that, it does feel like a very nicely balanced and exceptionally easy to use rifle. But let's take a look at that magazine. Let's see what that's like. So how do you extract the mag in here and how do you load the mag? Well, that's pretty simple. Side levers work pretty much the exact same as bolts. All you have to do is open the bolt by pulling the side lever back, and the magazine will slide straight out. So let's take a close-up on these mags. This is the Artemis self-indexing magazine. You load this by simply grabbing a pellet and simply dropping it through the top, like so. Simple as that. What I do recommend is, let's just put two in here, just to be sure. Whoops. Load it incorrectly for one, not backwards. Put two in here like that. And what I do recommend though is when loading, get something like, I've got a little clean piece of stick here, get something and just make sure that those pellets are correctly seated, just like that. It's the same with a lot of magazines on the market. If they're not completely seated, the mag can jam and such like that, which you don't particularly want. But simply using an Allen key or just a tiny little clean piece of stick, push them in and the mags work absolutely flawlessly. I've had the standard M16, and I actually had, before I was an RFD, I actually had the older M22 rifle. And again, if I didn't seat the mags, they would occasionally seat the pellets. Sorry, they would occasionally jam. But with the M22, where I learned to push the pellets in, like what I've just demonstrated here, the mag worked absolutely flawlessly, and I put tins and tins and tins of pellets through that, and it didn't even jam on me once. It's quite a refreshing change actually to use a mag like this, which actually works, compared to the my previous video, the Super 10 mag, or BSA mags in general, which do tend to jam quite a bit. Although I think the modern ones are slightly better, so they are improving with time. But yeah, it's simple as that. And then once you've fully loaded the mag, simply get the rifle back, open the bolt, slide the mag back in. And what is unique with these rifles and the mags is that you may be able to see there's a small magnet in the corner of the magazine. And why this is handy is because there's also one in the gun. So if we simply line it up like this and then give it a gentle tap, it sucks itself in place. Then when you're locked, cocked and ready to rock, or you want to be, you simply put the side lever forwards and she's ready to fire. Simple as that. But how does it actually shoot? That's the important thing. Well, let's set ourselves up some targets. We'll start at 20 yards to begin with, 25 yards, sorry, to begin with, and then we'll push it out further and see how it does. I've got 4 tins of pellets available at the moment. We've got the Remington Express plinking pellets, the Remington Thunder sniper lights, the JSB Exact Jumbo Diablos, and the RWS Super Domes. So to save you all some time, I'll do some shooting out here now, find which pellet works the best, and we'll see what we can do at 25 yards and then push out to 40. Right then, I've got to crack on, haven't I? Well, that's the zeroing session out of the way. It turns out this rifle's favourite food is the Remington Sniper Lights. I've put out a target at 25 yards. You may just about be able to see it over there. There's a target card that's been pinned onto a nail poking out of a piece of wood just around there. We'll do a 5-shot group into that target card over there, and then we'll take another 5-shot group and I'll put down the piece of wood and the target card right up against that barn building there. And we'll see how it does over there. The shots will be done with the silencer off, as that was what the zeroing session that I was doing. The silencer was off of the rifle then. And then before we're done, I'll show you the difference between silencer off and silencer on, so you can hear the audible difference that the silencer makes. So then, I'll get myself, put the GoPro down by the target so you can see what's going on. I will fast forward the footage, as it may take a while for me to slow the heart rate down once I've walked over there and come back again. And no one wants to sit around for an extra 2 minutes waiting for that to happen, so I will fast forward the footage. The other thing is, it is slightly gusty here today. I don't know if you can see that or not. We do have a very small gust. I picked the only day in so far our British summer where we've had a bit of wind. These past few days have been calm as anything, but hey ho, we'll soldier on, I'm sure. Right then, I'll get the GoPro set up down there by the target, and I'll, well, we'll all see what it can do, shall we? Let's move on. Well, I don't think this group needs any major description. I am stunned by that accuracy at 25 yards, and again, just to sort of prove my point, I don't know if you can see that, but it's not a calm day, it's a fairly gusty day, and to be fair, it did take a little bit longer because I had to pick the, I had to choose my shots between the wind. But that's a 5-shot group at 25 yards with the Remington Thunder sniper lights, and again, that is from an unrested position. Just to show just how tight that group actually is. Let me just get a pellet, just put next to it. That's a pellet stood up next to that group. It doesn't get much better than that. Again, I know, like I usually say, yeah, it could be in the bullseye, but again, it's not fully zeroed. Yeah, I'm well impressed with that. I think you're definitely getting a hell of a lot of performance out of the Artemis M16D. However, to do a genuine, proper test of its accuracy, I've now put up the target. You can make that out. I would find a way of fudging myself around here actually, but I've now put up the target way back there at 40 yards, and again I'll be shooting out of that chair unrested all the ways across there, and I'll be using the exact same pellets. The only difference I'm going to make this time is this time we're going to do a proper accuracy test, and we're going to be using the entire magazine to see what we can do. So that's an entire 11 shots coming out at 40 yards with the Artemis M16D. So we know 25 yards, that's almost unbeatable, to be honest with you, but let's try it at 40 and see if it can continue to impress us. Oh yes, also as you can see, I've fitted the silencer on here now, as I've mentioned earlier, we'll be doing the see how much of a difference this makes compared to unsilenced. But yeah, absolutely well impressed so far. I think anybody out there looking for a PCP at the £500 bracket, so far you definitely need to shoulder one of these because it is pretty tremendous. Anyways, let's do the major test. Let's do the 40 yard make it or break it test. So here we are, we're at the target end of the range now. As you can see, I'm going to be sitting well over there. You might be able to make out the gas bottle where I'm pointing at. That's the only issue. I'm going to have a bit of trouble maybe getting myself lined up, what with the barn pillars being there, the supports, but if I line myself up with that gas bottle I should be able to shoot straight through here. I'll be mounting the GoPro just a few feet in front of it on this box of targets here so we don't get it dirty, and I will be fast forwarding the footage again, as obviously I've got a long walk back there, and I will leave it a minute or so just for the heart rate to slow down and so as I can get my breathing right. So as we can do hopefully as accurate as shooting possible and do some real justice to this particular rifle. The wind's calmed down a little bit, as you can see here, but yeah, let's put the GoPro down and let's see what the Artemis M16D can do. So how did we do with our 40-yard range test? Well, let's take a look. Personally, I'm pretty damn impressed with that, especially when you consider, again, the distance is 40 yards, it's an unrested position, and I was battling the wind quite a lot. And just to show how small that group actually is, here's a pellet sitting inside of it. We've got two flyers up top, which funnily enough, the first fly, the first fly you see there was actually the first shot that I took. I looked at that, and then comparing it to this, I thought to myself, dear God, it's the exact same height as the 25-yard group. But again, like I said, I come back down to reality with these ones here. So, but even so though, the drop there is really not too bad. I was expecting more than that. But yeah, accuracy-wise, I really can't complain about that. Again, I'm battling the wind. I'm not a bad shot, but there's much better shooters out there than me, and as well as that, again, to amplify the wind issue, pardon me, is the pellets that I was using, which you seem to like, which are the sniper lights, which will be more affected by the wind than a regular weighted pellet. But so far I honestly could not fault that. The trigger is also superb. I'll show you in a second when we come to the verdict just how sweet the trigger is. It's a complete factory setup at the minute, but I'll show you just how nice that two-stage unit is. But before we move on to verdict, as promised, let's do a test and test out the can on the end. I'll take one shot about 10 yards away with the camera facing towards the rifle, and we'll do one shot with the silencer off, and then we'll do the next shot with the silencer on, and we'll see what the difference is between them. Let's see how good the can on the end really is. Again, it comes with the rifle free of charge, so we'll bear that into consideration, but let's do a scientific test, shall we, and see how quiet it really makes the rifle. Now, as we move on towards the end of the rifle, we also have the silencer, which comes as standard free of charge with the Artemis M16D. Although the rifle does actually come out of the box in an unsilenced configuration. So instead of the silencer that you see here, the rifle is actually finished off with this small cap on the end to protect the threading. And we'll do a test in a minute to see just how much difference there is with the Artemis silencer and the standard cap or threaded barrel on the end. Oh, he's asking for it, isn't he? So then, let's do the silencer test. I've got the camera as close to the silencer as physically possible, so hopefully even you at home can hear the distinct differences between the rifle firing with silencer on and silencer off. I've got the rifle pointed in the safe direction now, and this is with the silencer on, as you can see. I'll just squeeze the trigger and be quiet so you can hear exactly how it sounds. Quiet. Now, we'll remove the silencer. I'll warn you, there's quite a bit of thread on this, so you might want to go make yourself a cup of tea or something, or finish off watching that film that you couldn't quite finish last night. About halfway there now. Getting there. There we go. Right, so I'll just cycle the rifle now. Do the second shot. I'm just going to check it again, make sure if you haven't moved, it's in a safe position. Waggle it left just a bit, there we go. Right. Luckily this thing's points downwards, so we are going straight into the ground, but we'll have a shot now with the silencer removed. Now it does echo quite a bit because we are inside the barn, which I did do intentionally, so you can hopefully pick up more of how the rifle sounds, but there is quite a bit of difference between the silencer on and the silencer off. For instance, just to do one more test, let's do another test, but just to prove. There you go, the mag is now empty. Now let's remove the mag. Let's do another test. Let's dry fire the rifle, which does not do any harm to a PCP like it would to a spring gun. Now let's see how loud the rifle is being dry fired with the silencer on. Now this will be a lot louder as there's no pellet in the breech, so there's no resistance to that air coming out the barrel. So once again, line it up, make sure we're in aim at a safe area, there we go, just in case. And now let's have a shot with the silencer on, but no pellet in the chamber. Let's see how loud this is. See, even with no pellet in the chamber, but with the silencer on, it's still quieter than having a pellet loaded in, but no silencer. And that is really impressive. Again, especially considering this silencer is included free with the package. So then, let's move on to the final verdict. So then, the final verdict. What do I think of the Artemis M16 version D? Well, when it comes to shouldering the rifle, it is very nice. The weight is nicely positioned in your leading hand. The centre of gravity feels round about here, like dead centre of the rifle. The action's very smooth to use, it's simple to cock. I genuinely really like the side lever action. I like the way that the toggle that you grab onto spins as you're holding it, so you don't have to grab it and reach and pull around and get your fingers in to pull it out. You literally just do that all the way through. The trigger is fantastic. Again, this is the standard setting as what it left the factory in. It is a fully adjustable trigger, and they have improved this model over the standard M16 by letting you adjust the trigger through the trigger guard without having to take the stock off, which is great. When it comes to actual accuracy, again, I can't complain whatsoever. I'm not a PCP shooter, I am a Springer man. That's at 25 yards. Again, a pellet will fit happily inside of that standing upright. That's 5 shots though, not a full mag. But that's 25 yards, 5 shots through it, and again it is mildly gusty today. That was taken with the sniper light pellets, which it did seem to prefer out of all of them. And then we have this group here, which was the 40-yard group. We had 2 flyers up high, but the rest of them, again, a pellet. You won't be able to get 2 pellets in the grouping there. That is very, very, very impressive, and again that will happily fit within a 20p piece. It looks big in the picture, but it's not. Like I said, look, you can see where the distance between my finger and thumb is apart. That is nothing in there. Again, the flyers, I was battling the wind quite a bit, and it just so happens the pellets it likes, the sniper lights, well, the clue's in the name. They are a lightweight pellet, so they won't perform quite so well when there's a crosswind that we have to deal with. So I can only imagine just how tight that would be on a nice calm day. Other specs of the rifle, which I'm very impressed with, the shot count. Got over 250 full power shots in 2.2, that's what this particular model is. The magazine is exceptionally sweet and easy to use. It's a self-indexing mag, so you've not got any overcomplicated arms or levers moving in the action to cycle the mag for you, which should keep the rifle a lot more reliable than rifles that need to have their mags indexed by the action itself. But yeah, it's a really, really, really nice rifle to shoulder. It's a nice rifle to shoot. The silencer does its job well. The accuracy is absolutely superb. Can't argue with that whatsoever. I'm sure there might even be better pellets than the sniper lights to put through it. In my experience with the other M16s that I've tested before I had the review channel, they like the Remington Thunder Barracuda pellets, or HN Barracuda pellets. Unfortunately, during the time of this test, I'm completely out of stock of them, so I couldn't try it. So yeah, who would like the rifle? Pretty much everyone, unless you're a die-hard Springer shooter, which I will confess I am a little bit. I love my XS19, my 97 and my Webley Eclipse, but at the same time I can definitely see why people would want to try this rifle and keep this rifle. Vermin hunters will absolutely love it. Again, that's even at 40 yards there with the crosswind, that is a dead rabbit every single time. The 2 flyers, again, probably more of my fault than anything, or the wind, but that cluster there is superb. That is, like I said, dead rabbit every time. Rabbit, pigeon, you name it. Target hunters will like it because of the accuracy. Again, look at the 25 yard group here. With both the groups I tried to pick my time with the wind to try and obviously find a calm interval during the wind, but again at the same time that's pretty damn tight. You would struggle to get a pellet stood upright in there. That's 5 shots, although again that is 5 shots, not the full mag like what we have here, but very impressed with both. As per all of my reviews, I know, like I've said, I am an RFD, I do stock these, but I do try to be as honest as physically possible. If I had to list a negative about the rifle, I'd say that although I can understand why it's done so as you can, obviously you can just plug your quick fill adapter in here and fill the bottle, which is a brilliant idea, or you can unscrew the bottle itself, very similar to the Theoben Rapids, the BSA Super 10s, rifles like that. It's done so as you can fill it up no matter more or less what setup you have. It's a brilliant idea, but if I had to pick a negative, I'd say its looks will divide. Many people might not like the fact that you can see the gubbins here, even though there's pretty good reasoning, as I mentioned, behind why you can see all that gubbins, but many of them may not like the looks. Some might fall madly in love with it, actually, for a very simple reason, and that's that I think it's like a much prettier Theoben Rapid Mark 1, I think. That's how I see it anyway when I look at the M16D. It's very similar to the Rapid Mark 1, especially the almost flat chunk of wooden stock here. and the way the bottle protrudes out the way it does. But again, I do think it's much prettier than the Mark 1 Rapid. That may seem blasphemy to some, they may hunt me down and gut me like a fish, but that's just how I see it. But yeah, absolutely fantastic rifle. Price for these tends to be, we sell them for £440. Again, if we have one in stock, if we don't have to order it in, you're more than welcome to turn up and try it for yourself. Don't just take what I say and what I show you for granted. You can come down and test it yourself, see how you feel with it. But yeah, absolutely phenomenal rifle. Can't complain. That's it for this episode of Big Dan's Airgun Reviews. Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe if you want to see any videos similar to this one, reviewing air weapons. Or if you'd like to leave us a comment down below with a rifle you'd like to see us review, we'll crack onto it as soon as possible. Thanks for watching and take care.